So who would have thought that one of the best comic book movies of the year was a comic book movie we didn't even know was a comic book movie?
Did we watch a comic book movie?
This one is a comic book movie.
Oh.
Crazy! It's amazing!
Don't worry, nobody's gonna get killed, I promise you.
Okay, so we have seen The Death of Stalin and is directed by Armando Iannucci. Anyway, Armando created Veep and directed, I think, about 9 episodes. This is his second feature film. He did another film back in 2009. Yeah, it's something to do with the loop, and it got really, really good reviews.
Yes, that's what the movie was called. Of course it was to do with the loop. It's like a political thing. I'm gonna watch it at some point.
Terrific.
Anyway, he did another film here. This is his second film. It's called The Death of Stalin. He co-wrote this film with a few others, based on a graphic novel, a French graphic novel. And wow, it is absolutely fantastic. Wall-to-wall comedy right here. And what it is about, well, title says it all, The Death of Stalin. The last few days before his death and then
the chaos afterwards with the government trying to get itself together and everyone kind of like snaking each other, and like it's just this big mess, and it is absolutely a joy to watch. This is the best comedy that we have seen this year. There was points that we were both laughing so hard that we were like, you know when you can't actually sit still? Like, I'd actually at one point transitioned from laughing into outright crying, like no sound was coming out and my eyes were just watering.
Yeah.
This is genuinely one of the funniest comedies I have actually ever seen in my life.
Yeah, my feet were kicking, I was jumping up and down on the seats, I was just going nuts. I mean, like, you can't control the laughter, like the whole car ride back.
Yeah,
we were like, just losing it.
How good was that part? How good was that part? How good was that? Like,
it's just gold, and I mean, like, already it's kind of got this classic status to it that, like, we know that in years' time you just chuck this movie on with your mates and you're gonna sit down, watch it, and have such a great time because it was so goddamn memorable.
And the craziest part is that the subject matter is, it's not only politics, but it's Russian politics at one of like the darkest times in, I guess, world history. So the fact that they're able to extract so much humor from it while actually maintaining a really good sense of just how kind of full on this situation was, just how messy it was, and just how kind of screwed up the politics at the time were. And it's got this really, really strong standpoint by the end of the film where it kind of trails away from comedy just a little bit to kind of hone in on a really strong point that it's making. I just have a lot of respect for the craftsmanship of this movie to actually convey what is still a really, really strong story through some really insane situational comedy.
Yeah, I mean, like, this film is just really, really well layered, and it is a dark comedy, but it is done really, really well, and it's so great to see a comedy again that doesn't kind of tiptoe around subjects. It just hits them hard. It's okay to leave your social and political and, you know, stances.
Leave your ideology at the door.
Leave everything you think at the door, watch the movie, and then pick them up on the way out, because, like, you're allowed to have fun with these type of films, and it's good that they can still exist.
It's not an entirely historically accurate film. The actual events that it's depicting took place over, like, about a year, I believe, but in the film it's put into a span of a couple of days. That definitely makes it far more thrilling to watch. It's got an insane amount of momentum to the movie, like, considering it's kind of just a like collection of situations. It actually has like this really strong through line that makes it flow really well. And I guess the strongest through line of the film is that it's just such an insane, ridiculous movie. This isn't a film where characters say things and, like, it's funny to them inside the world of the film. It's just got characters being overwhelmed by the situation, having no idea how to handle it, and things keep mounting. It's that type of comedy where things continually get worse. No matter which character we're with at what time, in whichever situation, they're never ever given a break. There's never ever like any respite to the situation. It's like, this was bad, then this got worse, then this got worse, and it keeps stacking and making scenes funnier and funnier.
Which allows for some fantastic performances. Performances that aren't like comedic, but are incredibly dramatic, because all these performances here are very, very realistic. And in particular, I've got to make mention, of course, to everyone, because everyone's performance here is fantastic, but Simon Russell Beale, who plays our character of Beria, I believe. Beria. He has so much to work with emotionally here. And I'd outright say, like, he deserves award recognition because his performance is just, It's insane. You're laughing with him, but you're hating with him, and you're feeling so much for him. But because the film allows for dramatic performances, these performances just excel.
We've also got incredible work from Steve Buscemi, Michael Palin, and Jeffrey Tambor, and I want to say that Jason Isaacs pops up quite late in the film, but his introduction scene was incredible. Like, the first thing he does was an outright hilarious moment. This film actually has a great way of, it actually introduces characters sometimes after we've known them for a while with like a title sequence and a slow-mo thing going on while they're doing something completely ridiculous. It almost comes across as like a parody or like a spoof movie, but yet it's just so much more than that.
Also, we spoke about historical accuracy earlier, and what's really interesting is this film, instead of using Russian accents, which at the time wouldn't actually make sense because everyone at that point in time would be speaking Russian and they would be Russian. So instead of getting English and American actors to speak with a Russian accent, they scrapped that altogether. They all speak English and they all use their normal accents. So yes, Steve Buscemi is speaking with an American accent. We have English actors here speaking with English accents.
Palin's English.
So they kind of scrap the whole language thing, and it just allows for just this weird, jarring, extra aspect of comedy, and it just heightens the whole film, and it's endless. It's like an endless joke that is never mentioned throughout the entire film.
I will say though, there's some sequences where I think opportunity for comedy was missed. There's one sequence in particular where people are getting pushed onto a train as such, and for that entire minute-long sequence, there wasn't any jokes made out of it. And I think there was definitely opportunities to go and considering all that we've built for consistently throughout the film, there's still ways to actually draw comedy from what they're showing there. Even though it's a really, really strong, dramatic, thematic moment, you can still actually go in and derive comedy from it that doesn't actually take us out of what we're seeing.
Especially when this film doesn't have any boundaries with its comedy. It really just kind of attacks the entire subject matter, it attacks the time period, the people. It really just has no bars in regards to what it's going to say. And so it definitely does dip at moments, but I mean, overall, it pretty much is wall-to-wall comedy, and it's just ridiculous how it functions that well.
I will also say that this is not a comedy for everyone. If you're usually inclined to your Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart comedy of the season, this is probably not going to be up your alley, but if you're used to really strongly dialogue, situational comedy, you watch shows like Veep, Parks and Rec, other stuff like that, you will get a lot out of this type of movie. We got a lot out of it. I honestly can't remember laughing, well, I can remember laughing this much, because of what the fuck.
I have to arrest you.
I'm sorry, Bogdan. My father made a stupid joke.
It's been a long time since we've laughed this hard at a comedy, and it's so great considering this is such a great one that's kind of got this great story sitting underneath. It's got this great topic and this great subject matter that it's deconstructing. You right?
Yeah. So if you get the chance to check out Death of Stalin, we cannot recommend it more. Find your little independent cinema and see it, because this probably will get a very small release, but it is so goddamn worth it. It is so goddamn funny, and we are giving this one a 9 out of 10.
It's better to go and see it in a full theatre as well, because our entire theatre was losing it the entire time, and it just made the atmosphere so much better. We are definitely going to be seeing this one again. So that was our review of The Death of Stalin. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like the video?
Of course you did.
Grab more Banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel down there somewhere.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.
And we got a Patreon if you want to help us out.